This is The Last Word with Matt Cooper on 100 to 102 Today FM.
We're going to talk now about potholes. Conor Faughnan of the AA is back with us. I think it was just after Easter that you were last in here, and we were talking about potholes, and I was away at the Maybank all the weekend, hit a few of them coming out of Clare as well. Much as I liked Clare, didn't like the potholes that I hit in a couple of places. You've done a new survey. How much worse is the situation getting?
Well, it appears to be deteriorating, as everybody predicted, because we had the big freeze event in the winter just gone, most severe winter in 40-odd years, and as sure as night follows day, that has damaged the road network, even if it's not evident and won't become evident until spring kicks up and we get a few wet days, etc., and we'll see roads starting to crumble up on us. But it's already occurring. We got responses to our questionnaire from over 7,000 motorists with a very good nationwide spread, and nearly a quarter of them, about 23% of them, reported that they had hit a pothole since Christmas and that they'd hit it hard enough either to need to pay for a repair or to call out the AA. So you're not talking about, a bit of a wallop and, oh my goodness, what was that? You're actually talking about a severe enough belt that they were concerned enough about the car to call us out.
I've just remembered it. I should have got the clip out to play for you, but after we had that discussion, we had Minister for Transport Noel Dempsey on and something else. So I asked him about the potholes, and you know what his advice was?
I can imagine.
Slow down.
Slow down,
If you hit a pothole too fast, if it's doing damage to your car, you're driving too fast.
Yeah.
Now, is that a fair comment for him to make?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there are going to be torrents of angry people giving out about it, because on the one hand, it is good advice. And I've had telephone conversations with people who told me that they did huge amounts of damage to a car on a pothole. And it transpires when you probe them a little bit that they were, belting down a road at 80 kilometres per hour when they shouldn't have been doing half that.
But hold on now. If the speed limit is 80 kilometres an hour and you're doing 75, aren't you entitled to believe that the road is actually suitable for driving at the speed which is the maximum limit?
That's only partially a fair point, and I almost sound as if I'm defending the local authority here. I've been attacking them earlier on. We have a whole load of roads that have 80 kilometres marked on them. It's stupid. We've said so many times before, and no honest motorist can seriously believe you're meant to be doing 80 when there's grass growing up the middle of the road.
This is a diversion, but I couldn't get over some of the roads in Clare at 100 kilometres per hour. I mean, you would not be safe doing it, and that, the way it's a target for some people. How can the road speeds be the way they are in some parts of the country?
It is absolutely ridiculous, and it's the same argument in reverse as the one we had about 30 kph speed limits in Dublin when the road is clearly engineered to take 50 or 60. Likewise, if you have a road that is manifestly a country boreen, bad winter or not, it's no fit state to carry any appropriate speed. Firstly, the local authority shouldn't have an 80 kph sign on it. Secondly, if the local authority had a sign saying please drive off this cliff, you couldn't sue them for damage to your car afterwards. There has to be an element of personal responsibility here. And Noel Dempsey has a bit of a point. If the roads have taken a battering, road surfaces are in poor shape, so slow down is an important message.
Maybe the potholes come as a big surprise. They come out of nowhere. You could be on a good stretch of road and suddenly you're going at the speed and then bang, you hit one. How could you try and say, you should have been slowing down just in case you met a pothole?
Exactly, and it's a lame excuse, and certainly it's no excuse for not providing the repair bill that the local authorities need. And it is true, that's what's catching a lot of people out, particularly when it rains, because what looks like a puddle could actually be a pothole a foot deep, and a lot of people are walloping their cars for that reason. And they're doing things like bursting tyres, cracking alloy wheels, knocking off track rods, etc., and costing a fair few bucks.
The listener here suggests if you see a pothole, don't brake. You load up the suspension and do more damage.
Yeah, that's no. I would advise you to avoid the potholes if you can.
Well, here's one on Facebook we got from Alan Kelly. It's the sudden swerve that happens when you see the huge pothole at the last minute that's going to kill someone. Sadly, only then will it get fixed.
Well, conceivably, because what could happen, two things could happen there. Firstly, the person could pull out away from the pothole into another lane of traffic, which is danger number one. Secondly, you could conceivably, by turning the wheels, hit the pothole at an oblique angle, and you might therefore do a bit more damage or kick the car out sideways. But these are all sorted by the by. I think the basic message is that on our secondary road network especially, particularly since last winter, we have a road network that is crumbling up on many, many surfaces, not just where you have potholes. People reporting that the tops are wearing off speed ramps around the city and that sides of roads are cracking up or breaking up. So we can give out to the local authorities, we can give out to Noel Dempsey, we can slow down the car. Those things are all true. But we have to, collectively, we've got to make the repairs to the road network. network. It's going to get more expensive the longer we neglect it, and I guess that's the AA's point. Not blaming Noel Dempsey for the fact that it happened, but just pointing out that it has happened and we simply have to fix it.
Something related, a number of major multinational employers in the west of the country, in the northwest, Coca-Cola in Sligo, Baxter in Castlebar, Hollister also in Mayo, and Allegron in Westport, have come together to warn that jobs could be lost if what they estimate €220 million not spent improving the N5, which is 134 kilometres of national route running through Longford, Roscommon and Mayo.
Yeah.
We've got Michael Ring with us, the Fine Gael TD, who's also a spokesman on rural affairs. Hello to you, Michael.
Good evening, Matt. How are you?
What's the problem with the N5 at present?
Well, the N5, I suppose, is the worst road in the country, and people, particularly business people and politicians over the years, and the worst part of that road is particularly from Ballinadreen to Longford. And if you get caught, Matt, behind a lorry on that road, there's no hope of getting out. It's just a very narrow road, a terrible bad road, a road that hasn't been developed over the last 30 years. We have seen structural funds, and in fact, at one time, Fine Gael, we led a deputation to Europe to see could we get funding, and for Objective 1 funding, and that funding was drawn down on the basis that we were going to get the infrastructure in the west of Ireland, but that didn't happen. And we have seen, and it's very annoying, and I want to say to Conor, me and Conor have been on programmes before in relation to roads. I mean, even you take Dublin and to Cork and even to Galway now, these roads have been not 2 rounds of structural funds, not 3 rounds, but in some cases 4 rounds. And then you take that road that we're talking about, the N5, particularly from Charlestown to Longford, is the worst part of that road. It's actually a third world road, and it's wrong. And people in the west of Ireland are trying to do business. There was business people of Coca-Cola's Ballina and Allegron and Westport, Baxter and Castlebar. They've gone to the Taoiseach, they've gone to the government. These people's products are being brought from Mayo, have to be brought to Dublin port, and they're finding when their product gets to China or gets to America or gets to whatever country it's going, that some of the product is broken and damaged simply because the infrastructure in the roads, the lorries bringing the product to the market, the roads, not capable of taking it, and it's wrong, and something has to be done. And just talking about the potholes, and I heard Conor talking about it there, and I think it was very easy and a very smart remark from Noel Dempsey to make, slow down. It's not easy slow down. If you want traffic to halt down and nobody to travel anywhere any longer, we'll all have to get on bicycles in relation to the way the country's the road. What we want now, we're not blaming them any longer. The blame game is over, and Conor is quite correct. What we need now, and what really annoys people and aggravates people, a few weeks ago we had the National Roads Programme, the money announced. We had Fianna Fáil politicians, Green politicians and every other kind of politician telling the people that there was a massive amount of money there to repair the roads. We're 5 or 6 weeks on and still no repairs on the roads. And what we're not looking for now, particularly in rural Ireland, what we want now is to try and get the infrastructure out there, to try and get these potholes repaired. Some of the roads and some of the places that I go through, it's not right. There's third world roads better in third world countries than we have in the west of Ireland.
All right, Conor Faughnan, how much sympathy would you have for the arguments that the N5 has been neglected?
Well, I think it has, and you can talk about a fair amount of the western seaboard, because essentially where the road spending is concentrated is the radial routes out from Dublin. Now that'll outrage some people who aren't in Dublin, but Dublin to Belfast, to Cork, to Limerick, to Galway, to Waterford, all of those have been dramatically upgraded. Next month it'll be continuous motorway from Newry, just south of Newry, all the way to the Dunkettle interchange in Cork. Now that is fantastic. That's just vast progress from where we used to be. And if you're trying to attract inward investment and you've got your American executives coming into Dublin Airport and you're trying to persuade them to build a factory in Tipperary or County Louth or places like that, the infrastructure is a good deal better than it used to be.
So you could bring them on a lovely shiny motorway as far as somewhere, and then you turn off and then you start hitting the potholes.
Yeah, and look, let's face reality here. We're not going to be, no Dempsey nor Michael nor anybody else can wave a wand and transform Ireland from what it is. We have a population of just over 4 million people in a land area of 20 something thousand square miles. We've got over 90,000 kilometres of road in this country. We have a huge network of secondary and tertiary road. We're simply not going to be able to. We've got more road in gross terms than they do in Holland, and we've got a quarter of the Dutch population. So we're simply not going to be able to promise Michael or anybody else that there will be pristine motorway on each of them.
Conor, I have news for Conor. The Fine Gael are in government and in the Kenny's as Taoiseach, and I'm a minister.
The roads from Mayo will be sorted out.
I can tell you one thing, Conor. The first priority of the N5, the National Roads Authority will be brought in, and they won't be asked, they'll be told that road has to be done. We have waited too long.
Hold on, is that the national interest, or is that Mayo going to enforce? If Enda Kenny becomes Taoiseach, are you telling us that the first thing you and him will do is put the N5 road ahead of everything else in the country?
Matt, listen to me now carefully. Listen carefully.
I'm listening very carefully.
We should have got our share of the national cake over the last 70 years. We didn't get it. We have an opportunity coming now. If we're in government, you can take it. That's going to be a priority, and that's the first road that has to be done. And Conor is right. They're even going to be doing the roads in the north now, and they won't do the roads in the south, what they're elected to do.
We will leave it there. Michael Ring of Fine Gael, Conor Faughnan of the AA, thank you both for joining us.
Keep up with The Last Word on todayfm.com, on Twitter and on Facebook.